The Knicks were down 29 points in an NBA Finals game on their home floor, and they roared all the way back to win it. That Game 4 rally was the largest comeback in Finals history, and it didn't just steal one game. It put New York up 3-1, one single win away from their first championship in 53 years. That's 53 years of near misses and broken hearts, all the way back to 1973. The whole city has been waiting half a century for this, and now it's almost over. So here are 5 reasons the New York Knicks are about to end it. Reason number 1, they've already won twice in San Antonio. Here's what everyone forgets. The Knicks didn't just build this lead at home. They stole both Game 1 and Game 2 on the road, inside the Spurs building. A 105-95 win in the opener, then a 105-104 thriller where Wembanyama threw the ball away in the final seconds and missed the game winner at the buzzer. The Spurs went 32-8 at home this season, one of the best home teams in basketball, and New York walked in and beat them twice anyway. So the math is overwhelming. Game 5 is back in San Antonio, but the Knicks only have to win one of the next 3. Teams that take a 3-1 lead in a best-of-7 series go on to win it more than 95% of the time. 226 wins and just 11 losses in NBA history. And even if they somehow drop Game 5, they come home to Madison Square Garden for Game 6. The Knicks hold every card. San Antonio has to win 3 straight just to survive. If you think New York is finishing this off, do me a favor and tap that like button. It really helps the channel out. Reason number 2, they've taken away Victor Wembanyama. This is the scariest part for San Antonio. The Knicks built a plan for the most unstoppable young player in basketball, and it's working. Through the first 2 games, New York held Wembanyama to just 40% shooting and forced 10 turnovers, with Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson taking turns bodying him and knocking him off his spots. This is the same Wembanyama who torched Oklahoma City in a 7-game war to get here. And against the Knicks, he settled for contested jumpers, coughed up the ball late, and gotten into foul trouble. Meanwhile, Towns has arguably been the best player in this entire series. He's averaging close to 20 points and 13 rebounds on 55% shooting, dragging Wembanyama away from the rim with his outside shooting and punishing him in the post. Right now, the Finals MVP is wearing a Knicks jersey. When you take away the other team's superstar and your big man is outplaying him, you're in the driver's seat. The Spurs are built around Wembanyama taking over in exactly these moments. The Knicks just won't let him. Reason number 3, Jalen Brunson is a closer. And here's the wild part. He's barely even shot the ball well. Through the first 2 games, Captain Clutch was shooting just 34% from the field, one of the coldest stretches of his entire playoff career. The Knicks won both anyway, because Brunson does the little things that decide tight games. In Game 1, he poured in 30 and scored 13 in the 4th quarter alone, sealing it with a dagger. In Game 2, he knocked down the free throw that won it. Then Game 4 happened. With the season on the brink and his team down 29, Brunson erupted for 36 points and dragged New York all the way back from the dead. That is what superstars do. There is simply nobody on the Spurs who scares you in crunch time the way Brunson scares them. He's the heartbeat of this franchise, the captain who led New York's revival. And when the clock is winding down, the ball is in his hands. That's a nightmare to play against. Real quick, drop your prediction in the comments. Are the Knicks closing this out in Game 5, or do the Spurs drag it back to New York? Reason number 4, this team simply does not break. We already talked about the 29-point comeback, but for these Knicks, that's not a fluke. It's who they are. In fact, it was their 6th comeback of 14 points or more in just the last 2 postseasons, the most of any team this century. This is a group that ripped off 13 straight playoff wins earlier in this run, the 2nd longest streak in NBA postseason history, and swept the Cavaliers just to get here. Erasing deficits isn't luck for New York, it's a habit. And it's not a one-man show. OG Anunoby has been everywhere. He hit the game-winning tip-in in Game 4 and finished with 33 points. Josh Hart grabbed 15 rebounds in Game 1 alone. From the guard spot, Mikal Bridges and Mitchell Robinson keep landing punches, and the bench keeps showing up. You can't just scheme to stop one guy. When a team is this deep, this battle-tested, and this impossible to put away, no lead is ever safe against them. Just ask the Spurs, who watched a 29-point cushion vanish in a single half. Reason number 5. The Spurs are cracking. Start with the obvious. They just suffered the most devastating loss in finals history. You do not blow a 29-point lead in a championship game and simply shrug it off, especially not a young, inexperienced team leaning on rookies and a 22-year-old in the biggest moment of their basketball lives. And it gets worse. Victor Wembanyama is now one flagrant foul away from an automatic suspension. He picked one up in Game 4 to go with the flagrant from earlier in the playoffs, and the moment he commits one more, he sits out a finals game. For a team that completely falls apart whenever he rests, their backup big was outscored by nearly 40 points in the last round alone, losing Wembanyama for a game would be a death sentence. Don't forget, San Antonio's only win this series came in Game 3, and it took the best game of Wembanyama's young finals career, 32 points, just to avoid going down 0-3. Now they need 3 more wins like that in a row, with no margin for error, against the hottest team in the sport. So let's recap. They've already won twice in San Antonio. They've taken away Wembanyama. They've got the best closer in the series, they don't break, and the Spurs are falling apart. After 53 years of waiting, of close calls and broken hearts, the New York Knicks are 1 win away, and everything points to them finally finishing the job. If you want to be here when it happens, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the breakdown the moment they lift that trophy. And tell me down in the comments, do the Knicks win it in Game 5, or do they have to wait until they're back home in New York?